It is 6:30 p.m. and I call to order the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for Tuesday, October 7th, 2025. We have a quorum present. First item of business is approval of minutes.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Jack, seconded by Ainsley. You may vote now. Motion carries 6-0. Next item of business is a public hearing. Consideration of a zone change from light industrial district to specific use district to planned development light industrial district on 52.589 acres legally described as First Broadcast Edition Block A, Lot 1, and Block B, Lot 1, located on the east side of Huffines Boulevard, approximately 1,000 feet west of the Holford's Prairie Road on both the north and south side of the future corporate drive, as requested by Pulley Studios Incorporated, and Prologix is the applicant on behalf of Dallas Broadcasting, LLC, the property owners.
Good evening, Commissioners. Prologix is an industrial developer, has developed many warehouses in Lewisville and has others that we've reviewed plans that haven't been constructed yet. They met with staff over this particular site well before the warehouse distribution supplemental standards were adopted. Those were adopted in February of this year. The first meeting I could find that we met over this site for a warehouse development was in November of 22. During these discussions, they met with staff several times while we're going through these warehouse distribution supplemental standards. And during these discussions, we thought the best path forward with this would be to do a plan development for both tracks here. So the proposed plan development is for 2 warehouse distribution centers on either side of the corporate drive extension. Give me a second to get over there. It'd be a total of a little under 700,000 square feet of industrial space. As a part of the PD standards, and one of the reasons we're looking at the PD standards is they wanted several options on the tract 1 building. One option would be to allow trailer parking storage on the eastern portion of that site. It's in 2 separate places on this. I think on the staff memo I brought them together, but the plan development would allow an option which had the truck storage here with a slightly smaller building, and then what is shown in the main documents here. For the most part, they are meeting all of the supplemental standards or the intent of those supplemental standards. So this site does feature 50-foot landscape buffer along the public right-of-way in all areas, and in other design considerations with the supplemental standards. As far as the architecture is concerned, in the city of Lewisville, since they have a 50-foot landscape buffer, to meet the intent of the UDC, they would be allowed to use any building materials. They're opting to use primarily tilt wall construction for both buildings. The northern building, which has more visibility from the future corporate drive, will have a brick feature on the office-facing locations of that building. The southern track is heavily buffered by the natural vegetation there, so it won't be as visible, and that will be only a tilt wall building. Regarding open space and other amenities on the site, they are committing to keeping 15% of the existing protected trees, as well as these 50-foot landscape buffers, and they are a 12-foot wide trail is included with this plan development. That trail will connect Bunker Hill to the future trail that will go along Corporate Drive, as well as a small meandering trail on the northwest corner of the southern tract. So there are several alternative standards that are included with this development, and I will go over those once I get to the alternative standards section. The first is to allow truck courts to face the public right-of-way. The warehouse supplemental standard states that you cannot have truck courts facing any public right-of-way. Due to the design of the building off Huffines, there'll be one facing there. On track 2, the northern section of the building does face both Huffines and corporate, but this is a heavily buffered area with the vegetation that's left in its natural state. There was a lot of discussion on the southern section of the building facing Bunker Hill, but with the 50-foot buffer and with the trail and other amenities they're proposing on the site, which are not required, staff has no issue with this alternative standard request. The second alternative standard is to allow the existing vegetation to exist in lieu of the 50-foot landscape buffer. So with the warehouse supplemental standards, you're required 2 rows of shade tree, 2 rows of understory trees, shrubs, a lot of landscaping. To include this much landscaping along Corporate Drive, you would have to remove many of the existing trees. So staff felt that it was beneficial to leave those. And as you can see on the landscape plan, they are still having a heavily landscaped site, and they're planting trees where they can, but we're leaving the natural vegetation where it exists today. They're asking for the same alternative standard on a small portion along Huffines Boulevard. Reason for this is the site is higher up than the road, so to have a berm to meet those standards, it just becomes a very steep situation. So in front of you, they provided updated landscape sheets with sightline studies that show what the view of this looks like from Huffines Boulevard and how this will be screened without the buffer. The final alternative standard is also regarding landscape. There is a residential property to the west of the southern tract. Per the standards, they're required to have an 8-foot tall masonry buffer as well as a 50-foot landscape strip with all the trees. They are proposing to leave all of that in a natural state. I think it's over 100 feet, 175 feet of natural buffer, which to build the wall and all the other trees would remove many of that natural vegetation. I have members from our Parks and Rec department here who can, if you have any questions regarding the future trails or anything of that nature, and the applicants are also present, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have regarding this.
Thank you, John. Commissioners, questions before I open the public hearing?
Yes. Question of staff, if you don't mind. During construction, appreciate the amount of natural vegetation that's being left. Will there be precautions and considerations for during construction to protect that area from compaction and other problems that may impact those areas?
I'm sure, but I will let the applicant speak to that.
Okay, thank you.
Did you have any questions for staff before
This might be a staff question. After this is all built, who's going to maintain those natural areas? Is that going to be on our parks people, or is that going to be on the property owner?
Sure. So there's a future agreement between the Parks Department and the applicant.
Okay.
So the PD tonight just requires that trail will happen. Now, as far as maintenance and all those details will be ironed out between the Parks Department and the applicant after, during construction or closer to when this project will move forward.
So I don't think the trail runs, does it run that length of Huffines on Corporate? Yeah.
So here, let me get to
It was, I'm looking at track, yeah, that one.
So the trail right now is connecting Bunker Hill. We have a large residential community in Bunker
Yeah.
Hill to Corporate, and then there's a meandering trail kind of throughout,
Okay.
still on the southern track.
Okay.
Now, with the Corporate construction that's happening, there is a trail being included with that construction on the northern side of Corporate. So the intent was to make a connection for many residents off Bunker Hill to able to get that trail that's now being constructed off of Corporate.
Okay. I didn't know if we knew who was going to take care of the rest of that natural landscape down on that west side of the building, or I guess that's TBD?
So a lot of this area has a creek running through it, so it's mostly going to be north of that creek system.
Further questions of staff
Thank you.
before I open the public hearing? With that, I will open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak may come forward. State your name and address, please, and we'll be happy to hear from you.
Good evening. Robert Gossett with Half Associates, 1201 North Bowser Road in Richardson, Texas. I wanted to address the question of construction and protecting the trees. It's really the issues on track 2 on the southern building. And so I don't know, can you see the cursor on the screen at all?
Yes, sir.
So there's actually a large culvert system that's being built with corporate that kind of comes across at an angle, kind of right in this area. And so with the corporate plans, there's an existing stream there. There was some mitigation done with that. Now there's a new channel that goes through there. And so there's really no trees or anything in this particular area, but there is that channel. And so with the project, construction of this particular project, Track 2, we have a large box culvert system that's going to have to go in under this drive. And so when we get to construction, the easternmost drive is pretty easy as far as protecting trees and stuff like that. So we'll have your standard, your silt fence, your orange fence to protect the trees, and we've already done a tree survey, identified protected trees, all that stuff. That's already all been done now. And when we get to this western drive, we have a large culvert system that has to go in. It's basically one box bigger than what's going under the corporate road because it's picking up more drainage. And it's also we've already designed the retaining walls and everything. So there won't really be a whole lot of cutback outside of the distance of that, of the drive. You may have 10 feet or so on either side from a construction standpoint, but that's been accounted for. So, and we'll do the same thing. We'll protect it all with silt fence. We'll have the orange fence and all that kind of stuff up there. The part that is, so from a pure building construction, prepping the earthwork and doing the pad, we're in really good shape there. The part that would be a little trickier, we haven't ironed it all out yet because is the trail. So we may have to meander these trails around the trees and stuff, but that's kind of expected as we get into the meat of the design. So did I address your question?
Yes, sir, you did. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to come forward? With no one else coming forward, I will close the public hearing. Commissioners, I'll entertain a motion.
I recommend approval of zone changes as presented.
Second.
Motion by Aram, second
Second by
by
Josh.
Joshua. I'm waiting for my system to catch up with me. Joshua. You may vote now. Motion carries 6-0.
Commissioners, this item will be considered by the City Council, who will hold a second public hearing and make a final decision on Monday, November the 3rd, 2025 at 7:00 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Next item of business is announcements. Got anything to tell us?
No announcements except we've got quite a few members of staff out in the community at National Night Out, and they're also using that as an opportunity for engagement for the 2035 plan. So if y'all have an opportunity to join in the festivities in your own neighborhoods, we encourage you to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Joshua, second by Jack. You may vote now. We are adjourned. Almost forgot the final bit.